What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we're doing week 5 college football recap along with week 6 picks. I am filming this on Monday, so if I miss anything that happens between now and the time this releases, it is what it is. But real quick, I'm just going to talk about the NFL real quick. So the Cowboys-Packers game was so good, and it ended in a tie. I still think it's pointless to have ties in the NFL. College doesn't. College has actually pretty good overtime rules, so I don't know why the NFL has to have ties, but it is what it is. I know a lot of people honestly take the tie basically as a loss. I mean, it's not any different. You're not winning, So I just think ties are pointless. But speaking of the Cowboys Packers game, I don't know how to say his last name, but he absolutely leveled somebody on a punt return. I can't remember who it was, but it was all over social media. Absolutely leveled him because he did a spin move, and as soon as he turned back around, he got popped. And then George Pickens went off for like 150 yards almost and a touchdown or two. Drake May went off as well with the Patriots, and then Jackson Dart won his first NFL start to take down the Chargers. How about that? And of course, another injury at the MetLife Stadium turf. So, it is what it is. I know a lot of players are asking them to change it to grass, which I honestly think would probably be better. But who knows? It's probably cheaper to have grass anyway. But also, real quick before we get into college football, I'm gonna do a separate video on the playoffs and all that. But shout out to Paul, to Paul, poor Paul. His Mets just collapsed. I don't really know what else to say other than they just fell apart. I know the Mets broadcast wasn't happy when the Marlins took a team photo after the game. And they were like, they're acting like they just won the World Series. Well, for most teams, honestly, a lot of teams do take team pictures afterwards because the team social media or whatever, they'll use that photo for the team's magazines and all that. So anyway, I just want to talk about that real quick, and then we'll go ahead and get into this. So week 5, we started off rough, and I mean rough. Not even on this page, but the next page. Definitely got saved. So Thursday, we got the ECU versus Army game right. East Carolina pulled off a fake field goal. I think it was 51 yards. I could be wrong. With the backup placeholder, the guy who holds the kicks, ended up taking it to the house for like 38 yards. So that was a pretty good fake, actually. And then Friday, we went 1-2 because there were some big-time upsets. Virginia took down Florida State and had one of the best field rushes I've ever seen. The referee was still signaling incomplete or picked off, whatever. They just stormed the field. Arizona State beat TCU. I put the two scores here. Virginia beat Florida State 46-38 in double overtime, and Arizona State beat TCU 27-24. We did get the Houston-Oregon State game, though, right? I did say it probably wouldn't be a good game. I was I was wrong. Houston made it, or actually Oregon State made it close, while Houston ended up winning. I'm just gonna show it now because it's here. We went 39-14 overall. Like I said, there's not a whole lot of games now. Everything's you don't have every FBS team playing FCS. It's just FBS versus FBS now, pretty much. For 73.58%, which puts us at 234-55 on the season. we recovered pretty well. Like if we didn't do well most of this, we probably have some issues right now. So, the stuff from Friday, Virginia takes down Florida State in double overtime in a barn burner of a game, 46-38. That was Florida State's first loss. Virginia got the first win versus Florida State University since 2005. All right, anyway, had a noise in the background. I had to go see what that was. Arizona State took down TCU 27-24, giving TCU their first loss. I have a paper of all the undefeated teams who lost. Houston scored 17 unanswered points to beat Oregon State 27-24 in overtime. Houston is 4-0 for the first time since 2016. Oregon State is 0-5 for the first time since 1996. So, rather rough start from Oregon State. But, every team's going to slump eventually. So, here's how we did. Week 5 picks for Saturday. There were 49 total games. We went 37-12. Oh, like I said, we didn't do necessarily the best. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games we got wrong off like the first 7 or 8. So again, I'll just go over this real quick. I'll just kind of show it here real quick, and then I'll go over the games I got wrong, and then we'll get into this next week. So we got the Illinois versus USC game wrong. Illinois won 34-32. We got the Minnesota Rutgers game wrong. Minnesota won 31-28. I was really hoping Syracuse did a little bit more. At least make it close. When I saw it was like a big blowout, but Duke just let them have it 38-3. Cincinnati beat Kansas 37-34 with a game-winning drive. Kansas State beat UCF 34-20. Kansas State is so weird. Like, they beat some teams that they should probably beat, and then they lose to teams that they should probably beat as well. I mean, Kansas State's all over the place this season. Arkansas State lost to UL Monroe 28-16. Northwestern beat UCLA 17-14. UCLA's 0-5. I'm sure Johnny Serena's sure glad that Tennessee got rid of old Nico. I took a chance with this one just because Rhode Island was undefeated, but they got blown out. 47-14, West Michigan won. We got the Virginia Tech NC State game wrong. That was 23-21. And then Oregon versus Penn State, got that one wrong. 30-24 in double overtime. Alabama Georgia. Alabama won 24-21. In the last game, Louisiana versus Marshall, 54-51 in double overtime. So, I mean, if you look at my losses, this keeps happening every week. Majority of them are like one score. Like, I think out of the 12 on this one, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, a little over half of them. So, what do you do? Some of the headlines from Saturday, we got a whole lot of them. Try to get through these quickly. Rutgers missed a game-tying field goal. Dropped the loss to Big Ten Minnesota. Cincinnati had a last-second touchdown, propelled them to a 37-34 win versus Kansas. North Texas starts 5-0 for the first time since 1959. Look out for North Texas, everybody. Duke scored 35 unanswered points for Syracuse to win 38-3. The Illini won with a walk-off field goal versus USC, giving USC their first loss, 34-32. Georgia Tech completed the 17-point comeback versus Wake Forest in overtime to stay undefeated. Shout out to Wake Forest, though, because they had a chance to win it. They were down 1, field goal to tie, and they just straight up went for the 2-point conversion. So, shout out to Wake Forest. They didn't get it, but, might as well try to win, right? San Diego State with the walk-off field goal versus Northern Illinois 6-3. Ohio State stays undefeated and hands Washington their first loss 24-6. UConn got a last-second field goal to beat Buffalo 20-17. Northwestern beats UCLA, which UCLA stays winless 0-4. Ole Miss takes down LSU 24-19. Glad I picked Ole Miss. Always, if you have a matchup like that, majority of the time the home team is going to win. Just saying. Except for Penn State's case. Tennessee gives Mississippi State their first loss in overtime, 41-34. There were so many close games. It was awesome. Virginia Tech takes down NC State 23-21. Virginia Tech might be on a roll now. Oregon picks off Drew Aller. I think Aller. Whatever. To give Penn State their first loss in the whiteout game, 30-24. They showed it that the whiteout game versus top 10 opponents really isn't all that effective. But it kind of showed there. Alabama takes down Georgia 24-21. Auburn falls short versus Texas A&M 16-10. Texas A&M 4-0 since Johnny Manziel days since 2016. Indiana had 10 fourth quarter points to beat Iowa and stay undefeated. They won 20-15. Iowa State is 5-0 now after beating a unranked team at the time, Arizona 39-14. Vandy moves to 5-0, beating Utah State by 20 points, 55-35. I'm going to say this now. Vanderbilt's offense is clicking on all cylinders. They are just putting up points easily. We'll see how they do against Alabama and their defense, but should be a good game. Louisville scored 14 fourth quarter points versus Pitt to stay undefeated, 34-27. New Mexico had 24 second half points to beat New Mexico State, 38-20. Stanford had a touchdown with 14 seconds left to propel them to a win versus San Jose State, 30-29, and Marshall falls short versus Louisiana in double overtime, 54-51. So a lot going on Saturday. I'm not complaining. There's tons of good games. So here's the undefeated teams who lost. There were 30 going into Saturday, or really this week, last week, week 5. There's only 20 left. 10 of them lost. Here's your list: Florida State, TCU, USC, UCF, Washington, LSU, Mississippi State, Arizona, Penn State, and Georgia all lost. So the list dwindles down. Again, I'll probably keep a running tally on that, just so that way we can keep track of that. So we have a couple pages left. We'll try to get this done in under 20 minutes, although it's not looking like it. Week 6 headlines. Your top 10. Penn State was number 3. Now they're 7. I tried to limit it if it was about 5 spots moved is kind of what I tried to keep it at. Penn State was 3. Now they're 7. LSU, number 13. They are now, they're 13. They were number 4. Georgia's number 12. They were 5. Oregon, number 2. They were number 6. Florida State dropped to 18. Ole Miss is number 4 now. USC and TCU dropped out of the rankings. And your new ranked teams, Virginia checking in at 24 and Arizona State at 25. Arkansas fired Sam Pittman, their head coach, which lead me into something else. I don't understand why the NCAA is giving players, when their head coach is fired, 30 days transfer portal. Like, why? I get there's a whole new coach coming in, but just because somebody got fired, that doesn't mean you have to, switch up your whole team. And I'm not going to point out, or call out any specific players, but most of the time, the head coaches usually get fired because of player performance. It's basically because they got blown out versus Notre Dame. And so the players' lack of performance, I guess you could call it, is mostly why he got fired, and then they get to go pick somewhere else. Like, I just don't see how that's right. But, you know, I don't make the rules. Top games for this week. I think I missed Boise State and Notre Dame and Texas and Florida. But Vandy versus Alabama. Virginia at Louisville. Washington at Maryland. Michigan State at Nebraska. Texas Tech at Houston. Miami versus Florida State. And Mississippi State at Texas A&M. So, got a good handful of, big-time games. So we'll go ahead and get into the picks real quick. We got about a little under 5 minutes. So Week 6 picks Thursday and Friday. Friday's actually got a handful of games this week. Thursday, Sam Houston versus New Mexico State. Sam Houston, I'm going to pick them to get their first win of the season versus New Mexico State. Friday, we're going to take brand new FBS Delaware versus Western Kentucky. I'm going to take South Florida at home versus Charlotte. Should be an easy win for South Florida. New Mexico versus San Jose State. Could be an interesting game. I think New Mexico might squeak it out. BYU versus West Virginia. I'm going to take up Aaron's words over that Wild Wonderful. He said, don't pick West Virginia at all this year. So we're not. We're going to pick BYU. And then San Diego State is at home and they host Colorado State. Should be a interesting game there. So Week 6 Saturday, there's 45 games on Saturday. We got to be good this week, because otherwise my percentage is going to keep going down. So again, these are all in order, starting from noon to I think 10 o'clock at Fresno State. So Wisconsin at Michigan. We're going to take Michigan should be easy win. My Wisconsin Badgers are awful. Oh, forgot to mention, to help us with our picks, we got Bucky the Badger. We have this guy who's made out of seashells. Which is kind of cool, like a frog. So he's helping us with our picks this week, as well as Tom and Jerry. So Georgia at home versus Kentucky, SEC matchup. Georgia should win. Iowa State on the road versus Cincinnati. Atlanta at Purdue. Boston College at Pitt. I think Pitt should bounce back from Louisville. Clemson at North Carolina. We're going to take Clemson. North Carolina hasn't played the best of teams, so we'll go with Clemson. Baylor hosts Kansas State. Navy Air Force. That'll be a good game. Rivalry. I think Navy will win. Prove to 5-0. UAB hosts Army. Army's a big favorite according to ESPN. I just don't really see it. We're going to take UAB. Ohio versus Ball State. We're going to take Ohio. Virginia Tech at home versus Wake Forest. I think Virginia Tech's going to ride that high stride and get a home win versus Wake Forest. UTSA versus Temple. We're going to take UTSA. NC State at home versus Campbell should be an easy win. West Michigan versus the winless UMass. We're going to take West Michigan. Arizona versus Oklahoma State. Arizona, I don't want to say should have an easy win, but should pick up a win. Penn State at UCLA. Really no thought about that. Texas at Florida. I think Texas is going to win. It could be a good game just because they're at Florida, but I think Texas will end up winning. Alabama at home versus Vandy. I thought about this for a minute, but Alabama's doing pretty good. They're at home. I think they'll end up taking them down. Notre Dame at home versus Boise State. As long as they can control that run game, they should be all right. Back up to the top over here. Louisville at home versus Virginia. I think Louisville is going to win and become a ranked team because they're undefeated. Maryland at home versus Washington. I think Washington might start going into a slump here soon. Northwestern versus UL Monroe. Should win. Big Ten team. No reason they can't. App State versus Oregon State. We're going to take App State. Oregon State's, 0-5. So, Syracuse versus SMU. SMU's favored to win. I'm going with Syracuse. I'm hoping they can bounce back and not fail me again. UConn at home versus FIU. Hopefully they can pick up a win there. James Madison in Atlanta for Georgia State should win. Central Michigan at Akron. I think Central Michigan will win. Buffalo at home versus East Michigan. East Michigan's defense isn't the best. hopefully Buffalo can pick up a win. Miami, Ohio versus Northern Illinois. Miami, Ohio, I think is winless. Or actually, no, they just beat Lindenwood, so they're what, 1-4, 1-3. Oklahoma at home versus Kent State. Why Oklahoma still playing teams like Kent State, I don't know, but it should be an easy win. Nebraska versus Michigan State. We're going to take Nebraska at home. I think Raiola is going to have a good game. Texas State versus Arkansas State. We're going to take Texas State to win that one. Old Dominion at home versus Coastal. Old Dominion might be pretty good this year. They'll probably end up making a bowl game. Texas Tech at Houston. I think Texas Tech will end up taking down Houston. Houston hasn't had the best of schedule. So UNLV versus Wyoming. Wyoming's been pleasantly surprising this year. They're, 2-2? I think maybe 2-3. Compared to last year, that's pretty good for them. UNLV's, I think, undefeated still, so we'll see if they can stay undefeated. Troy at home versus South Alabama. Troy is going to win, I hope. Rice host FAU, hoping Rice can pick up a win. Minnesota at Ohio State, and we're going to take Ohio State. Miami at Florida State. That could be a good game. We're going to take Miami on the road. Take care of business. Texas A&M hosts Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State's going to fall into a little slump. They're going to lose back-to-back games. Texas A&M should win. TCU at home versus Colorado. I saw where Deion Sanders is like 1-10 against ranked teams, and the only team he's beat is TCU. But that was at Colorado, I think. So we're going to take TCU. Kansas on the road versus UCF. Kansas should win. And then the last 3 games, we're going to take the home teams. Tulsa at Memphis. Duke at Cal. And then Nevada at Fresno State. So that's it for the picks. I'll probably come out. I'll probably make a video and have it released today. This one will probably drop Wednesday or Thursday, and I'll probably try to make a playoff predictor today before the playoffs start. So that'll do it for this video, buddy. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I think we got 2 games on the night: Bengals and Broncos, and Jets and Dolphins. Is it? I think so. We'll see how those go. But until next time, guys. See ya.